What's up, motherfuckers? Welcome back to another video by your girl's favorite YouTuber, The Hater. And we're going to talk about this week's episode of AEW Dynamite there, Taz. Because that's what I watched. You know, I had to sacrifice one of the two shows. I decided to sacrifice NXT because I'd easily be able to watch that on the network, which is now not recognizing my membership and won't let me sign in because I forgot my password. So I would record both, but I have to record some other shows that I actually like, motherfuckers. So I decided to go with AEW just because of the storylines. NXT starting out like kind of all over. It's almost like a new season of NXT because there's no consistency. And even though I enjoyed last week's episode, I'm sure I can figure this out after this video and watch that later. So without further ado, AEW started off with a bang, with a match that is a bang. It was the Lucha Brothers versus the Private Party. Now, one thing of note here was the Private Party, when they were introduced by the announcer, the ring announcer, Justin Roberts, whatever the fuck his name is, said, weighing in at 24 ounces of, like, cranberry vodka or something like that, right? Which is gay because 24 ounces is very little, so that doesn't make any sense. If anybody knows, there was this wrestler called Ruckus, and his introduction in the Indies and in, I think, CCW was there for a little bit, was weighing in at a street value of over $10 million or something like that. That was cool. This was not. This was gay, motherfuckers. So the match was a complete spot fest. I'm sure most people will like this match a lot. I'm sure Dave Meltzer would say it's a 5-star match. I thought it was shit. That I don't want to take away from some of the athleticism of the match. The match did have some good spots, but everything was a spot. The best spot, in my opinion, was when Phoenix did his little rope run thing that he does. He runs on the rope, kind of like Undertaker walks on them, but he runs, and he kicks a guy that's somehow situated on the ropes. This time it actually made sense because Pentagon countered a guy and he ended up on the ropes. Pentagon held him there. That was part of the finish after they hit their package pile driver double foot stomp combination. Now, this is predictable as shit because once you realize that the last four teams are Private Party, Lucha Brothers, Dark Order, and SCU, you can see where this is going. It's obviously going to be SCU versus Lucha Brothers. Now, I thought originally, and I think in my last video I corrected myself, I thought that Dark Order would be the first champions, but once I realized that they were like, the brackets were situated as such where SCU and Lucha Brothers wouldn't meet until the end, if at all, I realized that Dark Order wasn't going to win it. The more logical thing would have been this: continue this tiny little rivalry between Lucha House Party and Lucha House Party. Fuck it, we'll just go with that. Between Lucha House Party and SCU, and like have that be a semifinal match, you know? And then at the climax, have the final match involving Dark Order, and the winner of that, Dark Order wins. They're interesting. I like Dark Order, you know, they're different. So anyways, I'm actually pretty impressed by Private Party in terms of their athleticism. Now, I could totally understand why the Young Bucks like these guys and hired them because they're exactly the same thing as the Young Bucks. A bunch of spots. I haven't seen many Private Party matches. I've seen a lot of Young Bucks matches, and they're all the fucking same. So this team seems to be the exact same thing as the Young Bucks. I'm sure when they have their rivalry with the Young Bucks down the line, Dave Meltzer will crown these two teams as the two best tag teams. But in my opinion, they're not the two best tag teams. They both fucking suck. But they're athletic. Next, we had a little promo package for Wardlaw. Or Wardlow. I don't know. I think it was an O. Wardlow. He's this big jack dude. It showed him working out. He has a stupid little man bun, so I could do without that. But I like it. I like the fact that they're going to have at least one big guy. Now, watch this guy be like 5'6" or something, but whatever. He's big. He's strong. Let's see what he does. I'm going to predict that he's going to come in, just beat some ass, and then eventually job to Kenny Omega. So it is what it is. Next, immediately after, we have SCU versus Dark Order. Thus far, we haven't even had one commercial break, which I did like. SCU and Dark Order come out. It's going to be Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky because Daniel's got a stinger, and he is out, motherfuckers, for 6 to 8 weeks. So we have to watch Scorpio Sky now. The match was all right. It was better than the first one because it wasn't as spotty. A bunch of false finishes. The finish is Scorpio Sky gets the I think Stu or whatever the fuck his name is, Stu Grayson. Stu, don't call him Dick Grayson, as JR pointed out. And puts him in like a gory special, spins him out. Kazarian hits a knee. It was like a GTS, but with 2 people. So I didn't really like that finish because there was a lot of like awesome moves that were done in the match. So for that to be the finish, I didn't like that. A lot of people in these tag matches kick out of like individual finishers or individual like big moves only to like fall to either a roll up or the tag finisher, which typically I would like that because a tag team finisher is important in my opinion in building a tag team, but not if that's the only way the matches are going to end. You know, that's kind of stupid, right? Like, for example, one of the best tag teams of all time, fuckers, all time, you little shits, the New Age Outlaws. That's right. One of the most charismatic people of all time, Road Dogg, and Billy Gunn, who looked always and still looks like a main eventer and like a beast. And they didn't even have a tag team finisher. I think back in the day, in the early days, they did like a, what's it called, like a spike pile driver from the top rope. But typically the match would end either with like a roll up, a chair shot, or a famouser. Or sometimes it would end with like a pump handle slam, or they would periodically do the pump handle slam into the famouser. But that was just like more of like a humiliation thing where Road Dogg would put the guy in the pump handle and hump him vigorously from behind and then let him go last second as Billy Gunn drops the famouser correctly on him. Not the way that Dolph Ziggler does it. But anyways, yeah, that was, the match was all right. Again, at this point, we're 30 minutes into the match, no commercials, which I do like, but the commercials do add something to it because when someone says, we'll be right back, you're like, oh shit, like what's going to happen next? But even the little commercials they did after this, they were these like half-screen commercials where the commercial audio plays, but you still see in a little segment of the screen the match, right? Which, I mean, that's kind of nice, right? Except the problem is that during that part is when all the rest holds are happening, right? Because that's just how wrestling works, you know? So that kind of sucks. But a thing of note in these first 2 matches was JR completely burying everything, man. He buried the Private Party by saying, like, they kept talking about how they're inexperienced, right? Just because they're young doesn't mean that they don't understand wrestling, right? Where, like, the guy wouldn't hook the leg and JR, you know, did the typical JR commentary of, oh, you just got to hook the leg. That's why the guy kicked out. If he hadn't hooked the leg, he wouldn't have kicked out. All this nonsense, right? At a certain point, one of the announcers, I really can't tell their voices apart, even though Tony is, like, has been around for a while. I haven't seen him in years. And Excalibur, whatever the fuck, Marquez, whatever the fuck, whoever it is, I don't even know who it is, right? I'm guessing it's Excalibur. He sounds very similar. And one of them said that Stu Grayson is made for combat or whatever, like his moniker is, right? And then like JR is like, and what you mean by that is that this guy is trained all over the world in martial arts, which is also a burial because, again, it shows these idiots how to do commentary, right? You can't just, like, that's stupid. You can't just, like, say someone's nickname. Oh, Batista walks alone. No, like, you have to explain what that entails in respect to his character, if anything. It's just like when you see, like, Randy Orton, like, go for he does a little pre-RKO, like, ground hump thing, and Michael Cole says, Randy Orton's hearing voices. Hey, he's hearing voices, right? That's stupid. Like, just because that's his theme song doesn't mean that you should just say it, right? Just because it's this moniker, oh, he's the Viper. The Viper's coiling up. No, why don't you tell me what this guy is, like what his motivations are? So JR explains that this guy, basically by saying that this guy's traveled around the world learning martial arts, it implies that this guy is someone not to be fucked with and that he's someone who is actually tough. Even though he doesn't really do any martial arts stuff, he just does he has like a weird style. He has like weird, like flying moves kind of and like quick type shit. He did do something awesome. And there was this little thing where one of the Private Party guys Irish whips him to the corner and clotheslines him and then runs back to do it again. But Stu Grayson follows him, clotheslines him. Stu Grayson runs back. The guy follows him. I guess somehow Stu Grayson realizes this and he just like topes over the corner onto like the other Private Party guy. That was kind of neat. Did I fuck it up? Private Party, SCU? No, I didn't. Did I? Yeah, I guess it was SCU, not Private Party, whatever. So SCU beats Dark Order, and Private Party, motherfuckers, loses. What the fuck am I saying, man? What the fuck am I saying? SCU beats Dark Order, and Private Party loses to Lucha House Party, motherfuckers. They should really just call them Lucha House Party because they have no individual characters, and it rhymes with Private Party. Lucha House Party versus the Private Party. I'm sure there'd be some copyright infringement. Actually, I know it would be, but it is what it is. Then, during the match, Jericho and the Inner Circle come with tickets, and they go up to like I guess the private box, like luxury box area, and they brought these little blowhorns, which I thought was kind of cool because I could totally see like on Raw or maybe even SmackDown, fans just bringing these blowhorns in and just busting them out when like boring wrestlers like Roman Reigns or something like that start talking, right? So I actually look forward to seeing that. This was like all right, but just like everything else in AEW, it was over dramatic and drawn out. So Cody Rhodes came out after this match in the most like exaggerated entrance ever. You'd think this guy was Undertaker or something. Every time this guy comes out, his entrance is like it's not a WrestleMania level entrance, but it's presented as such. He came out with like the dog and his wife, and now he came out from under the ground like Rey Mysterio or like Gangrel, but it was goofy. He has like the worst theme song ever. It sounds like a South Park parody of like his theme song, it's like some low budget nonsense. He comes out, he's going to make a big announcement. He doesn't make it because Jericho keeps taunting him. So I wonder if there even is a real, like an actual announcement that's to be made. So Jericho says, "You suck. You're not going to come fight me 4-on-1. Cody Rhodes takes off his jacket, hands it to Tony, and walks to the barricade. But he doesn't jump the barricade because he's like, oh shit, it's 4-on-1. What am I going to do? Like, I'm just this jobber. Like, I can't beat these like 4 dudes. So then Goldust comes out in full face paint for some reason. Even though this guy didn't have a match tonight, he just comes out in full. Maybe he had a match on AEW Dark, but even so, like his face paint would have worn out. So he had to either reapply it or apply it. Like there's no logic behind that. We've seen him without face paint. There's no point in him doing it. And plus, you can see half his face. So he comes out to back up Cody. That's still not enough. I figured the Young Bucks would come out, but no, it's MJF and then DDP. But they came out like one by one, and it was so fucking stupid because the announcers were like, oh, it's 4-on-2, and then MJF comes out, oh, it's 4-on-3, and then DDP comes out, oh, now it's 4-on-4. They go up. Cody, Jericho, and the Inner Circle lock themselves in the luxury box, so they're protected by a door. Cody punches through the glass of the door. The glass is 100% obviously fake because 2 reasons. 1, Cody Rhodes would never be able to punch through a glass window. And 2, the way it broke. So, and also, if you punch through glass, you're going to fuck up your hand. And Cody Rhodes did it to like seem badass, but it just came off as goofy. And they fight in like the mezzanine area. And JR says, well, the Inner Circle had tickets, so like they're totally in the right in being here, right? Which is a good point, but one he shouldn't make because they're the heels. So that was kind of like stupid. It didn't really further anything, right? We already know they hate each other. So it didn't really like, there wasn't anything there. Like there wasn't any like clever jabs or anything like that. So the only way that this plays out in a non-cringy way is if one of the people that came out to help Cody turns on him or something at the pay-per-view. Hopefully not MJF because they've teased that like every fucking time Cody has a match. They tease MJF coming through. But I will say the good thing about this segment was that we didn't have to sit through a Cody Rhodes interview where he would likely mention Dusty Rhodes and how like he's watching from him from above and like Cody will make him proud and this generic nonsense. Cody Rhodes, I know he's like the executive vice president, one of like 15 executive vice presidents, but this guy has no business even being here, man. He's boring. He sucks. He looks like an idiot. The blonde hair makes him look even worse than he ever looked. And more importantly than all of that, I'm sick. I'm fucking over this Dusty Rhodes like is dead. He's been dead for like 5 years. Oh, Dusty Rhodes would be smiling down on Cody now. Oh, let's put in Arn Anderson because, they both wrestled in the past, basically. So that was kind of stupid, but I'm glad that ended relatively quickly. After that, what happened after that? So they showed a little thing where Kenny Omega won a AAA jobber title from Phoenix. Now, this is unnecessary because, number one, no one cares about not AEW, AAA. What the fuck's happening with me today? I must be really excited about this show and about you guys. So they show him winning this AAA jobber title against Phoenix, and they explain that the title's not on the line tonight, but he's going to defend it all over the world, which I don't like because there has to be some sort of exclusivity, right? I understand now they're at the early stages, so it makes sense to get some eyes on Kenny Omega. And if you're able to create a partnership with AAA, which draws about 16 people to their shows or whatever the fuck they have, maybe it's just pay-per-views, I don't know. Maybe those 16 people will tune into TNT to watch AEW. And that might be a good way to get your foot in the door, but eventually shit's going to have to hit the fan, and there's going to have to be some exclusivity. I know that Jon Moxley's no longer with New Japan, as far as I know. He's exclusive, so everyone should be. And it's also, by the way, it's also fucked up that the AEW important people, like the executive vice, like Cody, the elite basically, and Cody Rhodes, like allow themselves, like Kenny Omega allows himself to go to Mexico to like wrestle and other promotions, whereas his employees are forced to just like be exclusive, right? That's kind of fucked up. But anyways, yeah, they what was it? Kenny Omega had a match again with what's his face, Joey Janela. Now, my only problem with this is that like they had an incredible match at AEW Dark last week. I probably should watch. I think I'm going to start watching AEW Dark after like AEW Dynamite, not the day it comes out, only because like that way it's like one show, you know. So they had like a better match at AEW Dark. So I don't understand why they didn't have that match tonight and this match then. You know, this match was like a normal match, nothing special. Kenny Omega won after hitting the V trigger and the one-winged angel. So I don't understand that. Maybe for time constraints, which we'll get to later. So what was I going to say? Yeah, like George Janela, you know, they're presenting this guy as like a tough guy. You know, he does well in his matches, but I'm pretty sure he's yet to win anything, like including All In, like Double or Nothing, or whatever the fuck it was called. I don't think this guy's ever won, man. I don't think I've ever seen this person win. So why am I supposed to care about this guy? All he's done is lose, you know? So once AEW has like a mid-card title, I would have figured someone like him would be a perfect mid-card champion because he's a nobody, right? Nobody knows what the fuck he is. So he can be elevated with a mid-card title. And because he's tough and he puts on good matches and he's earned my fandom, then maybe, just maybe, you know, he can create some compelling feuds and have some compelling matches and feud with the likes of Darby Allin and the other people that will end up in the mid-card. People who would not even be employed with WWE. But that's neither here nor there. So that happened. Then we have the Best Friends versus the Young Bucks. This was stupid. This was just a throwaway match. The Young Bucks win, obviously. Orange Cassidy did some Orange Cassidy stuff. Fans went crazy. I don't know why. I fucking hate this guy. He's like everything that's wrong with wrestling and humanity is Orange Cassidy. He's this like this little dweeb, this pipsqueak, if you will. This fucking that's what I call him. Pipsqueak Cassidy. Pipsqueak Cassidy, like he's like 5'7" at most, 145 pounds, and he doesn't take wrestling seriously, which is kind of his gimmick, right? He doesn't take it seriously, and like if he doesn't, we're not supposed to. Ha ha, tee-hee, you know? So, by the way, when I said tee-hee, that's like me poking someone with my elbow in the ribs or something, you know? That kind of foolishness. So anyways, that match was stupid, and the Young Bucks win, and they said, Santana and Ortiz, we accept. Now, I must have missed the part where they challenged them. So, but I'm assuming presumably, contextually, I assume that LAX challenged the Young Bucks and the Young Bucks accepted. And I don't know why it has to be so dramatic, right? Why does it have to be this like, we challenge, we accept? Like they beat your ass. Like LAX's entire run thus far has been beating their ass. So it makes sense that that should happen. They also mentioned that Jack Swagger is preparing, he's not there tonight because he's preparing for his Bellator fight. Right? Hopefully he's fighting some jobber so he wins decisively, because if he doesn't, that's going to derail his character, and his character is just like legit tough guy, and 3-0 sounds a lot better than 2-0, and it sounds a whole lot better than 2-1 motherfuckers. And I also like Jack Swagger as an athlete, and he seems like a cool guy, so I do hope he wins his fight. I actually hope he becomes Bellator champion. That would really help AEW a lot. You know, if he's Bellator champion, right? If he's that good, I don't know if he is, but if he is that good, then, I mean, you could make the argument that this guy could be a UFC champion, right? Like, at that point, but we're far from that. He's only 2-0 against two nobodies, two guys with no Wikipedias, so we'll see where this lands. Next, we had Britt Baker versus some jobber. I thought it was Leva Bates, but I kind of skipped the match. And in a backstage interview segment, after Britt Baker beats her with the lockjaw, which I still think should be called open wide, because that's more dentisty than lockjaw, which is like a tendon condition, I think. Anyways, Brandy just randomly attacks this jobber as she's about to cut a promo. And then the interviewer is like, Brandy, like, what are you doing? I'm glad she said, Brandy, what are you doing? Because I was like, what the fuck is this? Because she was wearing all black clothes and she was kind of like in the shadow, so you couldn't really tell. And Brandy looks at the interviewer and like just doesn't say anything, but like looks angry and aggressive. And this is stupid because Brandy Rhodes isn't a wrestler. She's hot. AEW is holding her back from what I believe should be her career. Pornography, motherfuckers. So I could whack it to her. So there you go. That's what I got to say about that. Next we have the main event. Now, this match was atrocious. It was Jon Moxley versus Pac. The match starts. Pac attacks him with a chair from behind. The announcer said, I don't think Jon Moxley has any chance now because he got attacked with a chair from behind before the match started. But despite this, the match ends in a 20-minute time limit draw. So it ends with the paradigm shift. I guess Jon Moxley has switched to doing it like normal now. Maybe he does like the lifting one when he wants to get a 3 count because he did it. And I think what happened was they missed their cue by a few seconds because Jon Moxley covered him when there was like 10 seconds left. And the referee counted. And even though he was trying to count a little slow, he would have beat like the count if Pac didn't kick out. So Pac was forced to kick out, which makes him no sell the move and kind of underplays the fact that Jon Moxley was this close to winning the match because he really wasn't. Pac kicked out of his finisher, so who knows? The match could continue for another 20 minutes, right? What I believe was supposed to happen, and because the AEW's poor production value and their inability to actually book a wrestling show, what I think was going to happen, and probably the lack of talent amongst the parties involved, what was supposed to happen, I think, was Jon Moxley hits the dirty deeds, right, or the paradigm shift, with like 5 seconds left. He goes for the pin, and at 2.5, the clock stops, right? That makes sense. Now, I could see where this was going. I could tell that this match was going to end in a time limit draw. And the reason for that is this. Both these guys are undefeated. They have no reason to feud. Instead of focusing on Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega, which is like the actual match, right? There's an actual feud there, right? Which is like started at the inception of AEW. Instead of focusing on that, they didn't even care about that. Now they're focusing on Moxley versus Pac, right? Which was stupid because number one, clearly it was going to end in a time limit draw because none of these guys are in like an actual rivalry. And two, Justin Roberts, or was it, I don't know if it's Justin Roberts or Justin Thomas. I don't know why I'm thinking Justin Thomas. I think it's Justin Roberts. Who cares? He kept giving us reminders of like how much time was left. He was like, all right, I get it. 10 minutes are left. Fine. They do that with every match, I think. Then he's like, 5 minutes are left. I'm like, all right, that's kind of weird. I think it's going to go to time limit draw because this guy keeps talking about the time. Right? He wants that to be in the top of our heads. Then it really got abusive when he was like, 3 minutes left, 2 minutes left, 1 minute left. And I even think he said 30 seconds left. I could be wrong. But 1 minute left, and then he did a countdown for the last 10 seconds. Now, if they don't plan on doing this, every time a match goes that far, which if they do, that's fucking retarded, then there was no point in doing this. The only point in doing this was because I think they either don't have like a Titantron the wrestlers can see or something, or they don't have the technology or the wherewithal or the knowledge on how to put a fucking clock, right, on the Titantron. Now, maybe it's because there would be no point for a clock to be on the Titantron because this match is not like a timed match beyond the fact that it's a 20-minute match like every other match, right? So you would have to put a clock on every match in the Titantron and on TV. And without the clock, right, in WWE, when they have the Beat the Clock Challenge or the Rumble, like, people don't understand. But in the Rumble, the reason they do the 10 countdown is twofold. One, obviously, to hype up the fans and to wake them up again. And two, so the wrestlers can prepare for their spots, right? So they can put themselves in positions for their spot when the next guy comes, because that might be something that matters. You know what I mean? So there you go. There you have it, fuckers. Time limit draw. It was atrocious as a result of that time limit draw. Now, overall, I would say this show is the worst one of the bunch. If I'm being honest, like, I think the best one was episode 2, and then episode 3 or 1. Those were kind of the same, and this one was crap. The matches, I know people are gonna whack their bags. They're gonna just like beat their meat to these matches because some of them were like very smarky matches. But let's be honest, right? Let's just say it like it is, right? The matches, although they were good to some, I mean, I thought they were shit, but like, although they were good to some, they furthered absolutely nothing, right? I guess you could argue that the first 2 matches furthered the tag team tournament, which isn't even going to end at the logical ending point, the pay-per-view. It's going to end next week. Like, what the fuck? That's just bad. That's just bad booking, man. Why would you, like, end this match not at the pay-per-view when you have that opportunity, but end it at, like, a throwaway, like, episode of what's it called? The only reason you would do that is if you already planned for the winning team to drop it, right? And there's no logic in them dropping it because, number one, where are they going to drop it to, right? There's no one to really drop it to anymore. Like, the Young Bucks and LAX are already, like, in a program, so where would they drop it? I don't know. We'll see, fuckers. Anyways, the show was shit. I regret not watching NXT. Probably would have been better. So, yeah, it looks like, I don't want to say it too prematurely, but maybe this is it, man. Maybe this is what AEW is going to be. Just a bunch of good matches, like an episode of Velocity. Just a bunch of good matches with no real direction, right? We didn't even have Jericho cut a promo. How the like if you're going to bring Jericho there, just give him 10 minutes to cut a promo to do something, right? That was probably the highlight of this night, was like the little bit of mic time he had when telling Cody, like, come fight me, Cody, right? And also, Cody Rhodes took another shot at WWE saying, like, oh, there's a fourth wall here. There's no fourth wall here. I can walk up and beat you up, Jericho, unlike WWE. What the fuck does that even mean, right? First of all, the fourth wall does not exist in WWE because John Cena, every time he cuts a promo, he talks about the fans. He talks to the fans. He waits for their reaction, right? They periodically go into the ring and do going into the ring things, into the crowd, and do that kind of shit. They fight in the crowd. Sometimes like a Rant, like Santino Marella comes from the crowd. Shit like that happens all the time in WWE, right? So there you go. They didn't do anything novel. Like the way Cody presented it was as if like what he was doing was something that would never happen in WWE. Get the fuck out of here, man. Like it's this kind of horse shit that makes me hate Cody Rhodes. Like if anything, if Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega were gone, this company would actually be like pretty decent. You know, they have some decent guys. Like they have like a clear the way I would book it is they would have a clear undercard with people like Joey Janela and fucking Darby Allin and Jungle Boy and everyone who's like a tiny guy with no talent. Then you'd have like a tag scene with all the tag teams. Then you'd have like a mid card. I'd break up SCU, put like Frankie Kazarian, Daniels, and maybe even Scorpio Sky in the mid card. Have them feud with one another. Bring in Shima again. Have him be there. Pentagon and Phoenix could be like, like upper mid carder types, and then have like the main eventers, Pac, all the WWE guys basically would be the main eventers. The 4 WWE guys they have, Swagger, Jericho, Pac, and Dean Ambrose would be main eventers. Cody Rhodes would be released, and maybe this Wardlow guy, maybe that guy would be a main eventer. Who the fuck knows? We'll see what the fuck happens with that guy. But anyways, fuck faces. This has been The Hater, and this has been yet another episode of AEW. Now, I'm going to start doing some rants that don't involve wrestling, just because I fucking feel like it, you know what I'm saying? Just like I did my little masculinity rant on my review of NWA, which I should also watch because I forgot that it's on Tuesdays, so I need to watch that and do a review for those 2 shows, and then also watch NXT and do a review for that. But I'm going to do other rants too, fuckers. This week has been all right. I think I went from like 8 subscribers to 10. So that's not that great because last week I went from like 3 to like 8. So we need to figure out what's going on here. We need to get some new subscribers, motherfuckers. So anyways, as usual, thanks for listening and go fuck yourselves in the mouth.